In the spring of 2014, the Eames office, in conjunction with the Williamson Gallery at the Art Center College of Design in Pasadena, California, as well as the A+D Museum in Los Angeles, opened an exhibition celebrating the centennial of Ray Eames's birth. We are extremely grateful for the unstinting support of its director, Stephen Nolan, shown here unpacking some of our image panels, and to his staff who exhibited much energy, patience, passion, and professionalism as they installed the show. In this video, I will walk you through the first room of the exhibition, which covers Ray's early years prior to meeting Charles. Another 6 videos comprise this series, each covering a single segment of the show. Ray Eames, 1912 to 1988, as seen in her self-portrait in pencil on the right, was born Bernice Alexandra Kaiser. She is said to have been named after 2 women, her mother's friend Bernice Gibbs and her father's sister. Ray, as pictured here with her parents, was a Sacramento native and the cherished daughter of Edna Mary Burr Kaiser, a traditional stay-at-home mother, and Alexander Kaiser, a vaudeville theater manager turned Cracker Jack insurance salesman. Ray's father tragically passed away by the time she graduated from Sacramento High School, so she and her mother moved to New York State's Hudson River Valley to keep the family together. Her brother Maurice, pictured in the upper middle photo, is being held by his father, along with Ray as a toddler. Served as a cadet nearby Bennett School and enjoyed easy access to the vast cultural offerings in New York City, a mere 90 miles away. Fashion captivated Ray. By age 3, she drew her first paper doll and continued making them for the next 15 years. Before we examine the paper dolls in the vitrine, let's move to the photo panel located on the back wall. Ray's paper dolls clearly grew in both sophistication and detail over time. Often each doll was gifted with intricate wardrobes with many pieces. Now we will head back to the doll vitrine to look more closely at Ray's very early dolls. Let's first focus on the 4 near-identical paper dolls in the foreground. You can see that even at an early age, Ray was practicing the Eamesian notion of iteration, the reworking of an idea. She created the pattern on the right, which she labeled as such, from which she could make many multiples, rather than having to sketch out the outline each time. Look above the 4 dolls and notice the 2 pieces clearly crafted a few years earlier. What intrigues me are the details even then. On the doll, the collar, the pocket, the pleats, the cinching, the socks, the shoes. And for the dress on the right of her, the number of buttons and the diagonal slash of 2 pockets, which are parallel to the neck treatment on the right. So considered for that age. Now let's move to another pattern, which reads, "This is the model for the paper dolls, Le Premier, made with red hair." It is so tempting to talk about each doll in the vitrine, but I will refrain and just finish with the doll in the upper right corner resting on the vitrine platform itself and not on the plexi above. This slender beauty already has her undergarments on, as well as her shoes. Her dress is remarkably detailed with its tiny white collar, its seaming and fabulous pattern combination of colors. You can well imagine the swing of the dress should the doll be able to walk. Although Ray stopped making paper dolls during her time at Bennett, she still peppered schoolwork, letters, and scraps of paper with fashion sketches and drawings. These images were taken from the entirety of one of Ray's notebooks. 2 years later, she had earned a degree in fashion design. It was now time to move to New York City. From 1933 to 1939, Ray lived in the city and studied painting with abstract expressionist Hans Hofmann, taking classes in the summer near the ocean in Massachusetts, hence the bathing suits. In addition, she became an enthusiastic explorer of New York culture, viewing sketches for Picasso's Guernica one night and attending a Broadway play the next. As a side note, the work of Charles and Ray Eames is held at the Library of Congress, both in the Prints and Photographs Division, as well as the Manuscript Division. Ray's treasure trove of handbills and paraphernalia from exhibitions, concerts, and plays clearly show how her interests so dovetailed with those of Charles. And her early hands-on experience with fashion contributed to the Eameses' later work, not only as an exemplar of their iterative process, but also more literally. She created textiles, clothing for herself and Charles, as well as uniforms for staff members of IBM's pavilion during the 1964 New York World's Fair, all of which will be explored further in future videos. By 1937, as a founding member of American Abstract Artists, she exhibited her paintings in the organization's first group show. In a moment, we'll look at a few more of her paintings, but let's spend a moment longer with this vitrine. In the far back is the American Abstract Artists catalog you just saw the cover of. In front of it is another self-portrait of Ray. Notice this wonderful example of iteration. To the right is a second exploration of facial expression. Now let's visit the introductory vitrine to savor one of my favorite photos of Ray, taken after she had moved to California with Charles. I just love the bigger-than-life shadows contrasted with her lit body. The introductory vitrine also held the Three Wise Men of Gotham, the earliest example we have found of her painting, and it is coupled with her handwriting, where, with this shot, you get a glimpse of the facial expressions of the three men. If we change the focus of the shot, you can see some of her paintings to the right on the wall behind. Particularly visible are 4 paintings in which she used the same colors, brown, green, ochre, and black on canvas, but with different emphasis, shapes, and placements. 2 of my favorites were actually in the first Ray show, curated by my brother Eames Demetrius. Flowers, Still Life, 1935, oil on canvas, which for me is so emblematic of the exuberance and color that were later seen at the Eames house in her bouquets and plantings. And To Hofmann, Love from Buddha, circa 1941. Marker pen, paper, tissue paper. Buddha was one of Ray's nicknames, and clearly, to gift a work to one's teacher was significant, and certainly would be a more prized work than not. The last to be examined vitrine in this first room holds a paper that Ray wrote in high school about the violin makers of Cremona. She received an A- for her work. It is notable for its graphics and for its drawings. And decades later, work on an exhibition panel on musical instruments appears to be strongly tied to that earlier work. We close with the first of a number of outfits worn by Ray over the years. In this case, these two pieces from her early years, although not necessarily worn together. A vibrant, shiny, swinging party dress, and a heavy, double-breasted coat. We are now ready to move on to the second room of the exhibition, Ray's Early Years with Charles Eames. I hope that you enjoyed this walkthrough of Ray's early years and that you will join us for the rest of the 6 videos to be released within the next few months. Thank you.